Now our next guest, specializing in background checks, Greg Hagopian. Hey buddy, how's it going?
Good, good. How you doing?
Specializing in background checks, isn't that, when you tell people that, do they go, ooh, creepy?
Well, what I do is I'm a criminal defense attorney. What I do is I clear background checks.
Oh, okay, even better. All right.
You know, you have somebody, they're a good guy, they're talented, but you know, say several years ago they got drunk and they crashed a speedboat, and they got arrested for that.
That was real easy. This sounds like something you probably defended before.
Sometimes.
Okay, so the guy crashes a speedboat, and what's his charge?
That would be a DUI charge.
Okay, and what do you come in and do?
Well, once a person gets off of probation, what can happen is eventually we can get their record cleared.
Of a DUI?
Yes, of a DUI.
Really?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, California law allows for that because California law recognizes that good people sometimes make bad choices. So what you're allowed to do, and many people do it on their own, some people come to an attorney like me to help them out, is they're allowed to go in front of a judge and say, I've completed probation, I've done everything I was supposed to do, I'm not drinking and driving or drinking and boating or doing anything bad now, and I'd like to get a job because the problem that people have is 98%, something like 98% of employers do background checks.
Okay.
And it's a rough haul. It's a rough haul when we have a criminal conviction trying to get a job and to move on. So people can go to a judge, tell them they've done what they need to do, and they can get that cleared.
Okay. Now some people are going to hear this and think, wow, that's just not right. But you, being the defense attorney, you probably think, no, this is completely right because it's the law.
Right. Well, I think it's a good thing that you've got an opportunity for people to get a second chance. Not everybody can go in and get an expungement. People who have gone to prison aren't eligible. It's only people who've committed relatively minor offenses who can go in and say they've been placed on probation and say, all right, I made a mistake, but I've gotten my life back in order, and you know, I want to reintegrate to the community.
Now, when you say take it off the record, do you take it off the court records and off the DMV records?
No, the DMV has their own separate records, right?
Yeah. And it's impossible to take it off of their records, isn't it?
For the DMV, there's always a time frame that you're looking at.
Right.
For something like a DUI, for 10 years, the DMV will keep that on your driving record. For people who get points on their record, something simple, speeding, not wearing a seatbelt, something like that.
Right?
2 years.
Okay. Now, growing up, did you want to be a lawyer?
Well, I couldn't play the guitar. That would have been my first choice.
Okay.
But law was a close second, yes.
Okay. And when you wanted to be a lawyer, did you want to be the lawyer for the bad guys?
It's a good question. I'm one of those people who've actually played for both teams.
Okay.
I've been a prosecutor. I was a prosecutor in Tulare County. When I was in law school, I was an intern at the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office. You need both sides. You need defense attorneys. You need us carrying the red lightsabers and the black capes to keep everybody honest.
Are there some things that you can get people off, and some people think you can't get people off?
Yeah.
I mean, are there just things that they're just going to say no?
Yes, I mean there are cases where Johnny Cochran cannot, if Johnny Cochran was still alive, get a jury to acquit somebody. Sometimes your facts are just so egregious that it doesn't matter.
I asked this of a lot of lawyers, and a lot of them come out and tell us really what when you get approached by a cop, what should you say?
As little as possible.
As little as possible. and I had a guy on here last week saying that he wanted to everyone to break out their cell phones and start videotaping cops as they're doing their job, even if they're not involved in it. Is that a good idea?
You know, that's another one. It's a hard call. I think that it's a good thing that today You have more people filming police because I think most police officers are good guys. When I was a prosecutor, I worked with the police. Even now, I have police officers who are friends. I see them at work during my day, and they're good guys. And most of them are good, honorable people. They do their job well, but not all of them. And police officers, when they misbehave, have, unfortunately, a great deal of damage they can do. And it is systematic to a certain extent that there is police lying and police brutality, and that isn't a new thing. But today you see it more than you ever have before. And the reason you see it more than you ever have before is because there are more cameras pointed at them. There are people with cell phones and security cameras. So, yeah, I think there's something to that. Certainly, if I was in a situation where I was speaking to the police, I would want it to be videotaped. Now, many police agencies,
100% of the time.
For me, 100% of the time, yes.
Really?
Many police agencies actually have themselves gone that way.
Right.
They've started having officers wear body cameras.
Yeah, it's also interesting how sometimes the video it gets missing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, and that should be suspect when you see that you don't have the entire video, whether it was taken by a civilian or whether it was taken by a police body camera that conveniently gets turned off when some important stuff was supposed to have gone down.
Now that it's with all the videotaping, it's come to the forefront more. It used to be, I think, that the cop was always right in court. Like the word of the cop was always. Is it more? Do the judges listen more now?
No, I think you still have that to a certain degree. If there is no clear evidence to the contrary, the police officer is going to be believed. He's going to be believed by the judge. He's going to be believed by most juries, depending on where you are in the country. The police officer is going to be believed. And the only way that isn't the case is when you have somebody who can say, well, no, the police officer is not telling the truth. Like about a videotape. That's not what he said. That's not what he did. And here's the proof.
Okay, now you do the criminal defense. Do you have a favorite kind of defense?
Favorite kind of defense?
Is there a kind that you like to fight for the most?
DUI crimes tend to be the most common and often the most interesting.
But how many of them are you really beating?
You know, there's a range of things what we mean when we say we beat them.
Knocking them down to wet and reckless, things like that?
Right. Many times there are cases that we get dismissed. We get them dismissed because the police made an illegal stop. They pulled somebody over and they had no good reason. And often their own cameras now show that. Mm-hmm. There's the CHP, the California Highway Patrol, now has what's called an MVAR system in every one of their patrol cars.
What is that?
The MVARs is a dash cam. It's a camera that sits showing the forward view from the police car. Every time they turn the lights on, the camera shows what happened from, I think it's either 10 or 30 seconds before that, and they leave them on through the end of the rest. So a lot of times in DUIs, you see them trailing behind the person, pulling the person over. You see the person get out of the car. They do the field sobriety test. It's all on camera now, which is great. Sometimes, you read a police report and it says, I was following behind the suspect and I saw him clearly run a red light, or he turned without signaling. We get the MVARs later on, and that's not what happened. Whether the police officer made a mistake or something else happened, the report's not accurate. So we look at the videos, and sometimes case ends right there. Other times, we can get cases knocked down from a DUI to what's called a wet reckless, or a alcohol-related reckless driving, which is a lesser charge. Sometimes it's just a matter of going in with somebody and explaining their situation to the judge and saying, all right, look, this guy is guilty. He was driving drunk on this day, and maybe this wasn't even his first time. He's done this in the past. and trying to get a sentence that works, trying to help everybody out and say, look, well, you can put this guy in prison for 30 days, 90 days, 120 days. Or maybe we can do something else. Maybe we can place this guy on probation and have him attend alcohol counseling. There's a company out of Fresno now called Scram who has a device that can be connected to a person's ankle, can tell if they're drinking 24 hours a day. We can go to a judge and say, look, you place this guy on probation, put one of these devices on him.
Put a Scram bracelet on him.
Yeah, if he drinks again, you'll know immediately you can violate him. Even cases where you can't go in front of a jury and to convince 12 people this person didn't do it, there's something for me to do.
Okay. All right, and you're located in Visalia?
Visalia, yes.
Okay, but you'll take people from here too, right?
I do indeed. I come up to Fresno.
How do they get a hold of you?
I'm located in Visalia at 115 South Church Street. I've got a website. My website is Greg Hagopian Law at my email address. My email address is greghagopianlaw@aol.com. I've got a website. It's hagopianlawoffice.com. You can find me on the internet. And my phone number is in area code 559-972-5078.
And consultations are free?
Consultations are
free. There
free.
you go, right there. There's our giveaway for this segment. Free consultations with Greg Hagopian. Nice to meet you, buddy. It's good talking to you.
You too.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back for the second hour of The Buzz. Stick around.